Okay, so our Summers got the first move, and I haven't conducted my attacks yet, but I did march forward. Really, this entire line has to shock. It just engaged. These units back here did recovery actions. I flipped them over to indicate they haven't moved. Only SI and HI units are, because they have some semblance to a formation, are restricted by the moved counter. And this is also different from SPQR's game, where firing missiles is considered a kind of movement. So if you use an activation to shoot your missiles, you take cohesion hits if you start firing some more, or if you move more or anything like that, from what I understand of it. Maybe I've got that wrong, but I don't know. Usually I'm finding what I did in SPQR was correct for SPQR, but is very different here. And it's one of the problems, there's no question, is you don't learn the series and then find yourself able to play every game, especially when they diverge this much. Anyway, we'll take care of, see what these effects have. Remember, these guys don't have to check TQ, but all these guys do. It's bad to receive the attack. And we can see the Sumerians have kind of locked in combat a few of the units here, but otherwise broken Sargon's force, and it's now in the routed pile. He's going to want to try to recover those units because he's in trouble, but he also wants to launch an attack. The problem is he can't get the first blow in. He's engaged here, which means actually attacking with them isn't terribly advantageous. He doesn't get that first tactical quality check on his enemy. So Sargon took a rally action, which is treated as out of command, and he rallied one unit, he didn't get all of them, and shifted forward some of his troops. But now I got to deal with these engaged guys. I kind of forgot about them. I think they're still in combat with an activation. It's a normal out of command activation. You don't have to do anything, so they're going to actually have to fight their round of combat. Let me see how this works with these engaged markers. Well, I'll come back. Yeah, since they're already engaged, what happens is they don't have to roll tactical quality, neither does their opponent. And in this case, I think one unit routed for the Acadians, but they had some heavy, more valuable units in the center, which pushed forward. And that's going to kind of cause problems for the Sumerians, but they've their units just routed. They didn't end up going off the map. They didn't fail their second quality check. Now we've got the interesting position where only the momentum rolls are there. Now, a leader can trump in, but that seems risky. The numbers aren't that good for it, and the penalty for it, if I recall, is essentially getting the momentum counter back. Right. Yeah. So it doesn't seem terribly valuable to give the other leader another chance to kind of recover or whatever. Okay, both sides drew their momentum counters and neither one had any effect. And now we can kind of recover some of these little markers here. There's a lot less fiddly stuff to do in between turns. Don't have to flip all the counters over. Just, you know, the couple of markers you got there. All these routed guys, they don't run off the map. This gets to get removed. But, I don't know, in some ways that's part of the charm for me for SPQR. It's at about the right level for that. And I kind of feel like I'm playing a much more abstracted game in the sense that I was with Men of Iron. You know, guys teleporting back around the standard. It's a nice system and everything, but to me it's just not great battles of history. But, well. Alright, so Sargon won the initiative here, charging forward, and we see some of the Sumerian units have shifted their facing. That's reaction facing. Battle wagons aren't well defined for this. Basically, infantry has to check, chariots don't. I've been treating them as though they're not chariots. not giving them all the advantages of chariots, but in some cases it's not clear which way it should fly. Certainly they're not, they should be somewhat more mobile. Anyway, the infantry had to make a tactical quality check, and it could have taken damage from that. Somewhere here on the facing chart there's this reaction during facing. You know, I mean, it could rout from being struck in the side. I figured with a 4 it was worth the chance there, but it's kind of iffy. Meanwhile, I have one unit, and then these guys couldn't move. This guy could have changed facing, but he couldn't have attacked this fella, and by shifting facing I felt like I was probably going to open up a possible attack that might have, maybe from this unit, that might have easily routed the unit. Well, no, that's not likely. So I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to change facing with this guy, because that puts the other guy, that puts a potential, first of all, it puts kind of some restriction on movement here. Not much, they can just walk away. But this guy would have to attack both of them. Now, I'm not going to, you see this must, and that means that if I shock, I have to make a tactical quality check. I don't actually have to shock him, but whoa, no, that facing change means I can't even attack him with his, that's actually specified. Anyway, what we're basically going to see is a massive attack in this direction. I tried to pull the battle wagon, the Acadian battle wagon, around the back here to exchange javelin fire. Well, he was routed and terminally so. It would have been nice if I could just run by, hit this with a javelin, but I couldn't do that without sustaining some reaction fire. Anyway, we'll see what the battle happens. One thought was, did I want to bring Sargon into the battle? Because he would add 3 to the die roll. And modifiers to the die roll are huge in the Great Battles of History system. I mean, that's how you can really dominate the combats. But the problem with that one, there's no chance he'll die because he's a hero. They're immortal. Not really, but there is, though, a problem that when I get my, either if I trump, which I think I'm likely to do, or if I get my momentum action, then I can't rally with that, and I kind of want to. It's just I want to make these attacks first and try to rack up some score against the Sumerians, because they're doing quite well comparatively. Okay, so the results of the fighting, these guys didn't attack, and I shouldn't have even put a marker on them if they're not intending to attack. That's kind of an indication that you are intending. They're very, very weak in terms of tactical quality, and I can't recover them because they're in this guy's frontal arc. So, things did not go well with the flank attack. I rolled very, very poorly with a 0. I think I was over on this 12 chart with all the modifiers, but that just didn't work well. But they're engaged still, which means they have to keep fighting. Now these guys broke the battle wagon. The battle wagon had a faster speed. It could have done an orderly withdrawal, and I actually rolled for that, succeeded, and then said, oh, you know, I don't really want to do this because I'll just have to keep pulling back. So instead I shifted my facing as the normal reaction change. And that gave them a slight advantage, but still it's a very fragile unit, and I did the javelin fire. The orderly withdrawal would have allowed me, I believe, to do, only in chariots with composite bows have that right. Basically, there's a lot of little tricky things. Now, you know, if you're playing this a little bit and getting used to all the chariot rolls, it's kind of like the elephant rolls in SPQR. You get used to them, right? But here it's taking a while to get used to that. Anyway, we got our next chit pick, and I really hate this because there's so few counters. I should just be rolling a die for them. What we've got is the momentum roll, so I'll see if I get momentum. And I do not. And we get the Sumer momentum. Let's see if we get that. We do. And now I've got to check to see if I can trump in on the momentum move. Because... oh, that might give him another move. That's the problem. Geez, I don't know. Hold on. Okay, Sargon's going to go for trumping it in this. Actually, I don't know if it's legal. I assume it is. You know what's funny? There's no trump marker in this game, so you have no way of telling that. There's nothing to indicate that. I'll use something, but with SPQR, I think there were a little... or no, it was Samurai, which used a similar system. Let's see what we get here. Alright, I failed to trump in. That means this momentum marker is going back in there, so the Sumerians get another shot at that. Ooh, I didn't charge them this. Okay, and there's our points. And now, well, the Sumerians get to move, and then they get 2 more actions, basically. Well, potentially 2 more. And Sargon cannot trump in again. He's only got 1 shot. So this is the situation after that pulse, and you can see the Sumerians have really cracked in. This guy had to take fire as he moved into this hex next to the archers. I think the slingers. I don't think those slingers get a well, they couldn't take reaction move if they took reaction fire. Over here, you know, I'm kind of guessing with the engaged rules. I think this guy could attack just this guy, and that's what I did. He doesn't have to involve this, even though if he was charging up or something, he would. And he doesn't have to involve this because he can't attack it. It's to his flank. Anyway, that worked out a little bit kind of weird in terms of how I'm trying to piece together rules from lots of different places. It's always a problem for me to try to pick together these Great Battles of History rules, because it's all almost one integrated piece. It's not like, yeah, you know, I've got my economic phase and now I've got this. Nah, and it's not even as loose as, say, the Great Battles of American Civil War, where I move all my units, now I fire, now I do this. And so the rules are kind of scattered in lots of different places, and I'm still struggling with that aspect of the system overall. In SPQR, I think, you know, after 10, 20 plays, I started finding things where I was doing them wrong. And I'm sure I'll do that here. I don't think it matters much. Alright, well, now our picks are all Sumerian, and there's no trump options. So really the question is just the ordering. I get a momentum pick. I get to roll for momentum. Now, all these units have moved. I don't have a good way of indicating that largely. I get a momentum action. That means things. Do I want to rally or do I want to keep pressing on? I think I may want to keep pressing on, but I got to think about it. And we see the Sumerians moving in here for the kill. They haven't done their attacks yet, but they expended extra tactical quality in order to march forward. I got to check to make sure I'm going to be in range with everything. I don't think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is, I've already left the standard, so I might as well move a little closer. Anyway, I'm hoping to break enough of the routed units. We can see we're down to 7. I got 2 more in the bank here that I shot. Been kind of lax about worrying about the varying armor chart. It's very easy to forget about if you're used to Great Battles of History. And, well, like that bowman was able to fire before from range 2 using a self bow against light infantry. Well, there's a -1 in there. It improves his chances, and he managed to hit and kill the unit, which was very easy to kill because it had, you know, it reached its route total, and then with a 2 tactical quality, it's very, very easy to just flee the battlefield. But I think things are close to over here. The Sumerians captured the standard. You'd have to worry about the rules for that, looking them up again. They did suffer a routed unit and losing a unit on their attacks. This engaged guy was one of them. The guy who struck the flank here was one of them. They definitely showed some problems, but here's the thing. They took 5 permanent casualties, which drops them down to 10. But Sargon's forces took 9, and they don't have 9. So they lose the battle. Of course, it's not quite over yet, right? It's not quite over yet, because we still have another chit to draw. Now, that is a forced chit. I don't believe there's anything I have to do which could cause a loss of the battle, though. I'm not in any engaged fights. So, see, it ends at the end of the turn, so there would be a possibility, if there was an engagement, that this wouldn't be over yet in their favor. But essentially what I'd be doing, I think probably pulling back or something, maybe throwing a javelin at this guy, whatever. Anyway, there's nothing that I have to do that could make me lose the battle before the game is over. And we were talking about a 4-point swing anyway, so it would have to be quite a bit. Well, I'm going to load this one up. We got to see a little bit of the system in action and a little bit of my fumbling attempts to kind of start to get a grasp on it. And, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting. But this isn't the main heart of the system here. These battle wagons, even though the rules aren't terribly well sketched out on them, they only appear, I think, in this one scenario. And I'm not positive of that, but to show sort of the beginnings of the Chariot Age. And we don't have all the interesting different types of weapon systems, although honestly the infantry aren't going to be the key to the battle here. The reason being not that chariots are kick-ass, but that the formed the designer's view is that the formed infantry just doesn't exist in this sort of way that it would exist in a later period. So this is a peek at sort of the very beginnings of real kind of national combat or city-state type combat, where something reasonably sized, more than, you know, what you see in hunter-gatherer type wars, supposed wars where they're raiding and everything. This is really the first time where you're seeing fielded armies trying to work together, and a lot of the system kind of picks up on, I think, this same kind of feel, where the infantry, the assumption is that they just aren't organized enough to withstand this very weak weapon system, the chariot, but the chariot is very, very powerful compared to everything else that's on the field. Is the only thought there. All right, I'm going to load this one up.